What's up everyone, it's Kadi with Money Investing, and a lot of consolidation and sideways trading for the markets with the Nasdaq, S&P and the Dow Jones mostly just trading flat ahead of the key inflation data on Wednesday. And we did have a few names pushing higher. So Zscaler, for example, was up over 22%. We talked about it last month during our swing trade ideas video for all the members on Patreon. And then of course we did have Palantir rally over 21% after hours, after they reported better than expected results, and of course the guidance was also strong. PayPal did drop a little bit over 5%. We'll briefly touch on that in this video and talk in more detail in a specific video for those two companies. So as always, if you enjoyed this video, find it helpful, make sure that you drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're just joining us for the first time. The link to our Discord and Patreon is going to be down below. I've restarted that 16% annual discount if anybody's interested. And I also did close out my covered calls on Meta. So this right here was a 70% profit on my covered calls on Meta. And then above that, cash secured puts on Tesla also closed for a 75% profit. So again, if you want to access all these options alerts, all these swing trading ideas and private videos and private live streams that we're doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, again, there's going to be a lot of insights. Link's going to be down below if you want to join. Of course, take advantage of that 16% annual discount that is now available till the end of this month as well. So moving over to the actual markets here, S&P 500 ends Monday a little changed as investors look ahead to key inflation reports. So Palantir, the software stock, soared at 22% as they beat expectations for their first quarter and issued an upbeat guidance. And they also reported 5 cents per share in adjusted profit, and revenue came in at $525 million, when analysts were expecting 4 cents of EPS with $506 million in revenue. So strong beat, and the company also gave a strong outlook for full year profitability, which is perhaps the most important thing for Palantir. And as a result, we're seeing a very nice move to the upside. And again, profitability is the key here. I talked about it in one of my other videos when we talked about Palantir, and for those reasons, we're seeing a very nice move. Now, just to show you how short-term funds, hedge funds are, institutional investors, these large money managers are, just how short-term these capital allocators are, PayPal shares slid 5.5% after issuing a weak current quarter expectations for earnings per share, while raising its full year guidance for the metric. What? How does that make any sense? Just issuing a very or somewhat weak guidance for the current quarter, but raising the entire year, and yet the stock price drops 5.5%. And separately, the digital payment company beat expectations on the top and bottom lines for the first quarter. And there was another headline article on PayPal pretty much saying, what's killing PayPal's growth or something like that. And PayPal, in other words, is having its growth crushed after the pandemic or something like that. Because again, that's the narrative that we're pushing right now apparently. But PayPal, I'm going to do a separate video on this company as well and talk a little bit about what the numbers look like. Zscaler, on the other hand, also surging up over, I think, 20% plus after the firm reported better than expected preliminary revenue for the fiscal third quarter and a rosy full year guidance as well. I broke this down during our private live stream where we talked about it, and Zscaler surprisingly was one of the only long trade ideas on the upside during that swing trading video, and of course other ones were short, and we have seen the markets actually push higher, maybe only consolidate sideways a little bit, but Zscaler finally pushing higher with very, very nice move to the upside up over 20%. This right here is going to be that entire market. So Google pushing higher, Nvidia up, AMD having a very, very strong day, up over 5.79%. So my plan would be to sell some covered calls on AMD this week. So that's going to be the plan. And then also planning to sell some Tesla cash secured puts later this week as well. So again, if you want to get access to those options, link's going to be down below. But that's really what the plan is going to be. AMD covered calls, Tesla cash secured puts, and maybe even Google or Amazon CSPs if they actually start to pull right back down once again. But overall, very, very sideways consolidation pattern for the market. We're not really going anywhere at the moment. So we're seeing some stocks obviously push higher, some pull back, and really overall market was very flat. Microsoft was slightly down. Apple was about as flat as it gets. This right here, comm services. So we did have comm services on the back of Netflix, Disney, Google, and even Meta pushing higher with consumer cyclicals. Financial, technology, healthcare pretty much flat, and then real estate utilities pulling back. Consumer cyclical, technology, basic material, utilities pushing up. Other sectors selling off, and energy has been the worst performer in the last 1 week and in the last 1 month. Lumber prices, cocoa prices, feeder cattle, live cattle all pushing higher, with coffee and orange juice coming down. And now Bitcoin back under 28,000, Ethereum just hovering around 1,800 at the moment. As a result, we did have a lot of crypto stocks also sell off on the day. Volatility here, on the other hand, was down 1%, trading back under 17 levels at the moment. And we had crude oil trade back above $70 a barrel, but we are not able to break past 73, 74, which is a pretty big resistance for crude. And that's going to be inside this red rectangle at the moment. So again, inflation numbers coming out in about 2 days. Very, very important stuff. I've already broken it down in my other video, the bear case, bull case, optimistic, all those things. So it's going to be quite interesting how inflation numbers come out here in the next couple days for the month of April. This right here is going to be the Ether price, 1847. So we're seeing a little bit of a pullback once again, not able to get back above that resistance of 2100, but instead making a bit of a lower high for Ethereum. And for Bitcoin also selling right back down over 2%, 3%, really just consolidating sideways at 30,000 as a resistance and a support at 27,000. So that's really where the price is at the moment for Bitcoin, just trading sideways. Now talking about the markets here, so this is going to be the NASDAQ, and you can see that we got up to as much as 12,264. So again, this is the NASDAQ index, and you can see that we are once again kind of battling through that resistance for the NASDAQ. We're not able to successfully break past this level at the moment, and right now we're just kind of struggling at that resistance. Same thing with the S&P 500. We're at that resistance almost, not quite. 4,200 is going to be that level, and we're almost trading at that level. We've gotten rejected at these prices time and time again, and that part of the problem really is that we are seeing tech really be the one that's kind of leading this rally. If tech is also the one that starts to slow down and the steam's running off here, then of course we're not going to find that same momentum, that same activity, that same excitement in the markets to break out further, because of the fact that tech, which was leading us into this resistance, is no longer pushing higher anymore. So that's the big question mark. And after inflation numbers come out, that's still going to be the question mark. Can tech continue to rally? Because if not, you're going to see a lot of momentum sideways or lower. That's literally logic right there, right? Because if tech is not there to support the market, and if tech starts rolling over, it starts pulling back, well, you're going to have the entire market roll over as well. That's pretty self-explanatory. Or you're going to see the market trade sideways if tech starts to go down and we see a sector rotation out of tech into other sectors. And so other sectors are going to offset that tech sell-off, and as a result, we don't go anywhere. On a net basis, we just trade sideways. So that's what we need to watch and pay attention to in terms of market rotation and, of course, sector rotation and where the liquidity is going to. But going over to the S&P again, this is the bear camp that we're watching at the moment, gotten rejected here time and time again. Same thing is true for the NASDAQ. So again, we're getting rejected at 12,250, 12,300. That's going to be the bear camp for the NASDAQ as well. Now going over to Apple, and Apple here on the day was, green candle, but a very, very flat day. Resistance is going to be at 177. So this right here is going to be that level to watch as a resistance for Apple. And right now, we're seeing a little bit of a negative divergence, right? So we are consistently seeing lower highs on the RSI, and the price continues to make higher highs. So, if you ask me from a technical standpoint, from a valuation standpoint, this doesn't look super great considering, everything that's lining up against Apple at the moment. But hey, momentum's there, volatility is there, excitement is there, sentiment's there, and we just keep pushing higher. So 177 is going to be that level to watch for Apple. Talking about Amazon, and Amazon here also consolidating sideways, and we are seeing a little bit of momentum back up, 17 basis points. So this right here is going to be that support level to watch for Amazon, and resistance all the way up to this resistance at $109, $110. So again, we're watching that lower high inside this downtrending channel with that support sitting roughly at 103, 104. So we've seen a lot of consolidation sideways for Amazon at those prices at the moment, and of course resistance is going to stay put at 108, 109 for this company. Talking about Tesla, and Tesla here was very much back and forth. We are now at a resistance of 175. So we got to as high as 173, 174. Sellers stepped in, we pulled right back down. So still at 1%, but on a red candle. And again, we're right now inside this red rectangle, which is going to be an area of resistance to watch for Tesla. So inside this resistance, that's going to be a level for us to break out. That's going to be challenging for Tesla, in my opinion. But if you do start to sell off right back down, then cash good puts all the way. And we're going to be looking at strike prices 120s, 125s. I was looking at 130 yesterday for June, July, or August. The premiums were decent, but not great. So again, just waiting patiently for Tesla to drop a little bit more so we can once again sell cash to good puts. AMD, I will be selling covered calls. Meta will most likely sell another covered call later this week to kind of re-roll that process and rinse and repeat to generate those profits again. And then for NVIDIA, we'll still just wait. My plan would be to sell cash to good puts on NVIDIA eventually, but only after it has pulled back, quite substantially there. Talking a little bit about AMD now. So AMD, very, very strong day, up over 5%, back over $95. And I think investors really being able to digest the earnings, and they were not really that bad, is a reason why we're seeing 3 consecutive green days for Advanced Micro Devices. So resistance is going to be $102, $103. The moment we get up to that level, I am absolutely going to be selling a covered call on AMD. Once again, we sold one in the past and we profited a little bit over 80% on that covered call, so we're just going to have to rinse and repeat that whole process. That is really where the beauty of options comes in, right? You're able to rinse and repeat the whole process and generate that passive income. Not really passive. I don't like the word passive income because you're still putting in the work. You're still spending 15, 20, 30 minutes a day to look at what the best options are, kind of run out some probabilities in your head, the payoffs of each outcome, and of course the probability of each outcome happening in the first place. So there's still a little bit of work done. But bottom line is that you're able to take advantage of the cash or the shares in your portfolio and generate some income off of that instead of those things just sitting there. If the shares are sitting there, they're just sitting there. They're not doing anything except for the price going up and down. If the cash is just sitting there, it's not doing anything. So options gives you the way a little bit to better capitalize your strategy and become more optimal in the way that you trade. So for AMD, $102, $103, covered calls will be on. For NVIDIA, it has continued to move up, now coming up to a new 52-week high of $292. So it does look like we're going to see a little bit of a breakout here past this resistance, because right now it is literally just at that peak. 292.27 has been that resistance, and right now we're literally right there. So if you do see a breakout, I think 347 is going to be that next level to watch as a resistance for NVIDIA. And we did see, a little bit of a pullback, a consistent sell-off here with 21 EMA was coming in, and we broke down, but then Microsoft and Meta earnings really saved NVIDIA. And I think we're going to have to push this back to when the earnings are released at the end of May. And I think once earnings are released, expectations are recalibrated, I think that's going to be the time where the music stops, possibly, and we start to see a bit of a pullback on NVIDIA. So that's something to keep in mind. Talking about PayPal now, and PayPal after hours was obviously down a little bit over 5%, so selling off despite a very strong beat on EPS and on revenue and raising its full year guidance. So this is what I mentioned in our live stream as well, right? So this is exactly what I said. Even if we knew what PayPal or any company for that matter, or it's just the nature of the market, right? If you knew what was going to be announced in terms of catalyst, right? If there's earnings, if there's inflation, let's just put it this way. Even if you and I knew what inflation numbers are being announced on Wednesday, we would still not know how the markets might respond to it. Still not know how the markets react to that news. That's the crazy part about finance and investing in general, because it's not a perfect science. It's not physics. It's not governed by laws and rules and numbers. It is governed by the behavior of the masses. And that is something that is incredibly difficult to predict. You can get lucky once, twice. You can't do it consistently over time. That's why there are no certainties. There are no guarantees. There's nothing 100% when it comes to investing or trading. It's a game of probabilities. You're working against the odds of what is happening versus what is going to happen. That's really what's the bottom line is. It's a game of probabilities. Nobody knows. Despite, even if we know, we don't know. That's something that we have to understand about the markets. And for PayPal, I think they reported some very strong numbers, and I think the market is underscoring the idea that this is still a strong company, reporting and raising its guidance for the future. And since the short-term focus is taking over right now, we're seeing a little bit of a pullback because the current quarter guidance was weak. But again, I'm going to do a separate video on them and talk a little bit about this in more detail. Square, on the other hand, also sliding lower, trading a little bit under $59. This right here is going to be that support level to watch for Block at $58, $59 per share. And of course, a much stronger support, much better support is going to stay put at $54. So this right here, the green rectangle, is going to be that level to watch. And resistance stays put at 68 to as much as $83, $89 per share. Those right there are going to be some levels to also pay attention to for Square moving forward. Talking about Meta platforms, and Meta here on the day was also up over 21 basis points. So once again, getting a little bit of a bounce back higher. Resistance going to stay put at 236, 237. So this right here is going to be that level to watch for Meta. And of course, we got this gap to fill eventually, which is going to be sitting all the way down to 220, 222, 230 levels for this company. Talking about Netflix, and Netflix actually did have a pretty strong day, and I mentioned this in our Discord, but we're seeing a lot of symmetrical consolidation here, lower highs and higher lows. So once again, we're getting back up to this lower high for Netflix, and Writers Strike freezes, Handmaid's Tale, Game of Thrones spinoff. So there's a couple different catalysts that came out today, but all we're really seeing is for Netflix to trade sideways and coiling inside the symmetrical triangle. Eventually, there is going to be a much bigger move for this company that we need to wait and kind of see where it actually ends up trading. Google here, once again, pushing up almost 2% and getting back up to that resistance that's going to be sitting roughly at $108, $109. So this right here is going to be that level to watch for Google. And if you do see a bigger breakout, 123 is going to be that next target. That's going to be that next resistance for Google moving forward. And of course, support level is going to stay put at about $101 per share. And talking about Microsoft, and Microsoft on the day pulling back a little bit. Resistance going to be at $308, $309, $312 more specifically. So this right here is going to be that level to watch as a resistance, and support level is going to stay put at 292 for Microsoft. And finally, we got Shopify. Continuing on that momentum. So resistance, as we already called for, $75 is going to be that resistance. That's going to be that target for Shopify. Support level is going to stay put at $54 per share. So that's going to be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, find it helpful. If you do, make sure that you drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Link to our Discord, Patreon is going to be down below if you want to get access to all the options alerts, trade ideas, trade alerts, swing trading videos, private live streams. There's going to be a 16% annual discount until the end of this month. So link's going to be down below if you want to join. Of course, get access to all those benefits. So as always, happy investing, and I'll see you all in the next video.